All right. So this truly is the last thing I need to do for tier list stuff, and this is definitely going to be longer than any other version of this one this year. I have to catch up to all the updates that happened during the tier list that happened so so if I did a list like super early and the buff came like a month or two ago, they're probably not on the list. Luckily for me, things kind of slowed down um, after I want to say October. Like when I started the list of buffs slowed down and or came out for classes that I could actually cover them. So we need to go through all classes first. We're starting with welfare list, then we're gonna go to low star, then sabers, archers, lancers, assassins, and then finally extra class 1. Let us start with the welfares. So for servants that are not new to this list, I am just briefly going over the buff. I shouldn't spend more than 3 minutes tops, because these servants, all these characters already got videos. That's the thing about this. Every single servant on this list got a video, either about the buff or the servant itself. This is more just a summary of me updating the actual list. So starting off with probably the one of the not useless but least important buffs, Altera the Santa. Her buff was changing her battery from 20% to 30% and giving overcharge. Sorry. One stage, one time, 3 turns, and this skill is still targetable. On this list, I have her here at B, and honestly, even with this buff, I do not feel like changing her. The buff now lets her do solo core farming, and that's kind of it. But this character is like closer to a support, but also tries to be a DPS and kind of fails at both. I'm not touching her on this list just because I don't think she's changed enough. And there are frankly better single target archers out there, even on this list. Like I think Saika is a much better character than Altera, even though now Altera kind of has slightly better farming. Like Saika isn't used in farming to begin with, so not an issue. Next up, we have Kichi, and Kichi goes to EX. So I had said this previously, that Kichi only wasn't in EX. She might have been in EX previously, but she got bumped down because of how inconvenient it was to farm with her because of the 20 battery, not 30. Also, she didn't have a pens easily. You needed to go like bond 11 or 12, which for welfares was just asking too much. But also the pen situation, I think I took it into account because eventually you would be able to get the servant coins like we have now. So her buff was essentially the same as Altera the Santa. The difference is Kichi is AoE quick, Altera was single target quick. Kichi went from not being able to use Black Rail with double, or she was able to do Black Rail, it just wasn't clean. You had to have Oberon out in front to begin with, and you also had to have the append. Now you're able to buy servant coins to get the append, and you can just do Black Rail looping off rip. Kichi at MP5 is comparable to every other AoE quick assassin. That is a farmer. I don't see the point in not putting Kichi in EX when there isn't really another AoE quick here. Real quick, I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Yeah, none that are decent. Like Shisho over here is not anywhere close to Kichi. And again, the only reason Ryder Ishtar isn't up higher is mostly because she's a rider, not because she's quick. Because she's think about where you use AoE riders. It's mostly farming QP. Like, are you gonna do it with Habitrot or Ishtar? Who are you more likely have leveled up better, and who could do the farm better? That's the main reason. All right. So, next up, we're gonna do Van Gogh Minor, and again, I am not spending that much time on this review. Van Gogh Minor. This is a good character, and they got a buff mid-event, which is weird because they came out this event and they already got a buff. I do not consider this a buff. I consider the buffed version is the actual skill. How is this supposed to be? And the non-buff version is like the story, is basically the story mode version of it. Kind of like how in Lost Belt 6, Muramasa had a different skill set as a support servant than he did as an actual servant. Kind of the same situation. Base attack, just above 9k. HP, 12k. Decent for a 4-star. Star weight, Sergeant are normal Lancer numbers. MP charge sitting very healthy at 0.72. This is a really good number for quick servants. They want to be like above 0.6 at least, because their gain is naturally lower than art servants. The higher their base gain, the higher the gain they get from their cards and their MP refund. They won't be nearly as reliant as hit counts, especially since poster child for this is Okita J Soji. She has a 3-hit quick MP, but her refund is very, very high. Child servant, existence outside the domain, so they work with OG Van Gogh. Also threat to humanity. Yep. Hit count 6 hit on quick, fantastic quick cards. Like really, really high refund and obviously high star gen. 3 hits on the arts card, 3 hit on Buster, and this is mostly for star gen. 5 hit extra attack. Again, if I'm moving too fast, sorry, just go watch the other video. I do not want this to be 2 hours. I want to stream today. So, first skill. Cost 10 stars. Pretty sure this cannot be... No, I believe this can be canceled out with Alco. Because it says demerit here. But you can pick what kind of card buff you want for your party, along with giving 20% MP gen for the party. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. It means Van Gogh is just really good in multi-core, whether Van Gogh is the one doing single target, because they have stupid good crit potential, especially for a welfare, like really, really high. Or you want Van Gogh to be your AoE. This gives you the option of both. And if you're doing any kind of cooldown reduction, you might be able to double pop this skill. Second skill, 3k HP, max HP for 3 turns, 30% battery, 20 star bomb, and if you are on the city battlefield, you get another 10 stars. Third skill is the buff version. Original one, dodge to attack 3 turns, and crit attack chance resistance 30% for 3 turns. This skill was not terrible, because you do see skills like this, but it was definitely lacking effects of a 6-turn cooldown. So, further in the event, the skill got the full version of it. Again, I am not calling this like a buff. This is how the skill probably was obviously designed at base. So, you get crit damage based on how many stars are on the field when you pop this skill. It does not scale. It does not scale with the amount of stars you actually have per turn. Like say Tonalico skill. It's not that you don't get these buffs, or these buffs are on you and it changes based on how many stars you have. It's when you pop the skill, you get crit damage based on that. So you can get up to 150% crit damage for 3 turns. The reason I'm emphasizing this is because you do not get this, not even 5 stars, get this much crit damage up front. They usually have to ramp up for it. For some 5 stars, they have to MP at least 3 times to get this level of crit damage. And a lot of them don't get that level of some servants get that as an MP overcharge, but again, they have to MP 3 times to get it that high. Van Gogh, if you have a ton of stars on the field, you just get it for free. And again, use with OG Van Gogh, and having this many stars on the field is not a problem at all. Passive skills, 4% Buster. Star Gen Buster cards up 30%, so pretty much all cards but the arts card actually gens decent stars. Existence outside of the domain, 2 stars per turn. Debuff res 4%. And self-portrait as a sunflower. Mental debuff res up 30%. Pens, you definitely want mana loading for farming. Skill reloading if you're doing any kind of cooldown stuff. Possibly crit damage if you plan on critting during the wave. And extra attack pretty much only if you plan on doing Brave Chains. MP, AoE 4-hit quick. Super effective against lawful alignment. 40% chance to stun. City Battlefield. Add City Battlefield to the field. This is not a buff on Van Gogh. This is a buff on the field. So if Van Gogh gets buff stripped, you're still in City Battlefield. But if Van Gogh dies, the battlefield goes away. Last part of it, 20% MP damage. OC scales up to 40, and this activates before damage. Bonsi, 8 stars per turn. Party power mod against lawful alignment, 10%. So, if we were talking about Van Gogh before this skill buff, I probably would have put them around here. Just because they were decent. They could kind of do farming. However, with 150% chance, with a chance to have 150% crit damage from their own kit, I have to at least put them in A, if not A+. I want to put them in just A, not A+. This is mostly because Van Gogh's looping is not great, if I'm remembering correctly, and we'll do a quick calc real quick. But what I recall of Van Gogh's refund, it was like close to 30. But I could be mistaken. I have not used Van Gogh for a little bit, so give me a sec to do the quick calc for like 1 turn refund. Okay, yes. So Van Gogh is looping 38% in the first wave. So Black Rail, double Scotty Oberon, not feasible. Refund would be way too much of an issue, and Van Gogh cannot ramp up. However, for multi-core, this is a much less of an issue, and Van Gogh is easily able to crit, especially after this first turn, because as you can see here, Van Gogh gen 61 stars, so Van Gogh got 150% crit damage. So yeah, the low values of the card buff and the MP gain make it so Van Gogh is not a loop farmer. So yes, she's down lower, mostly because she's not a loop farmer. But again, this is a plus. Like, I think Van Gogh Miner for multicore is probably better than you're gonna get from a lot of these characters. Just because being able to crit as the AoE is a lot more helpful, because it also means you don't need to do it multi-core. You're just banking on Van Gogh to do stuff. The multi-core would probably just be someone MPing, but if something happens, Van Gogh would be a good backup. Uh, so yeah, I'm confident with Van Gogh being there. Character I am not so confident about is Abigail. I am still not 100% comfortable with this servant, mostly being like I just don't see the use case. And if I'm not seeing a use case, it's I don't think this character is bad. Number one, I don't think she's that bad. She's triple arts. She's existence outside the domain. Use Popus Johanna for the art scripts to do like good damage. And Van Gogh is gonna make all these crits hurt a lot. Um, the issue with that though is definitely gonna be overcapping on crit. Simply because this character is going to ramp up crit damage fairly easily. So even Popus Johanna, I would even hesitate on putting her in that team because one Van Gogh and Abigail's ramp up is gonna be you're gonna be hitting the crit cap relatively quickly. So this character 9.08k attack, HP 11.75k. Attack a little on the lower side, especially for a crit DPS, and HP. Star weight, star gen. This is pretender numbers, so good base star gen, but off rip, you notice triple arts, she's not genning too many stars. Hold your horses. MB charge 0.38. It is this literally only works because she's supposed to be doing a lot of arts crits. Otherwise, do not expect the best gains from this. Is 4 hits and 0.38, is that in line with a lot of characters with 4 hit arts? It's lower by like 0.4, but this character also has another arts card, and a lot of those other characters have double arts, either double buster or double quick. And the character I'm thinking of off rip is Zenobia. Yeah, 4 hits on quick, 4 hits on arts, 4 hits on buster, 5 hit extra attack. All her cards gen stars, all of them. You'll see it in a bit. So critting is, if you're using this character as your main DPS, critting is your number one priority. But she's also kind of master support for you, so that if you have stronger mystic codes in multi-core, you can use them a lot better. And you might have a little bit more leeway. First skill, 30% arts for 3 turns, 50% crit damage for self for 3 turns, and 10 stars per turn. Again, crit damage, be careful with the supports you use, because, again, triple arts, existence outside the domain, the most common supports for those type of decks and traits is crit. So be careful you do not overcap on crit. Second skill, increases the value of master skills while she's on the field by 20% for 3 turns. So this means if you have, say you're using, not Atlas, Mage's Mystic Code, and you have that 20 battery, 20% of 20 is 4. So that 20 battery turns into a 24% battery. It's small, but these things start building up. And when you consider like Mystic Code like Arctic or Atlas that give you multiple buffs that multiply into each other, increasing the percentage of those buffs mean they will multiply even better together. So even though this number is small, don't discount it if you can get it higher, which you can with Abigail. Again, 30% MB gen. And crit star gen up 100% for 3 turns. This means her arts cards gen stars as will guaranteed. 2 attacks, 3 turn dodge, and this is on a 6 turn cooldown. Third skill, party battery 20%. Overcharges the party's MP 1 stage, 1 time for 3 turns. Increases the max HP of child servants by 2,000 and 20 star bomb. This is also on a 6 turn cooldown. Yeah, me personally, this is not a character I'm going to use. But if you have the pieces and you want to have fun, go for it. Um, I'm all for doing cool shit. This is just something right now I'm not really able to do because it's, again, I don't have Van Gogh or Popus Johanna on my main JP. My alt has Johanna, but haven't felt the need to have a DPS Summer Abigail. Santa Abigail, if you catch my drift. Passives: 19.5% debuff res, territory creation C, 6% arts, existence outside the domain, 2 crits, 2 stars per turn, debuff res up 8%, and more importantly, Van Gogh synergy. Last passive, Dream of Prima Donna, star gen of arts cards up 20%, so 120% star gen on these arts cards. Very, very high. It gets to the point that it's not that much of a hindrance that this character has only one quick card. She's not gonna have that much of a problem critting, as long as you let her gen stars, or use her face cards. And even if you don't have an arts card, doing a mighty chain with the MP Buster Quick, you'll still gen stars. Pens, this for just ease of use. If she's going to be a crit DPS, you're going to be doing probably a couple extra attacks. Get this up. Be careful with this. Again, I can't keep stressing it. This character can get crit really quickly. If you overcap on it, it doesn't do anything else. MP. This is a support MP. Ramp up, increased Master XP, 10% while she's on the field, 50% crit damage for the party heal, guaranteed drain for all enemies, and arts up 20%, 20% to 40%, and it lasts for 3 turns. This character is a support that also can do damage. It just really depends on if you want her to do damage. She's going, if you want her MP to be spammable, you need to at least be clicking her arts card and hopefully critting on it. I'm not saying you need to do a full Brave Chain every single turn, otherwise her refund is shit. But I am saying you're probably doing you're probably going to be thinking whether to put her MP before or after Van Gogh's. It kind of just depends on if you don't feel your arts crits are hitting hard enough. Because Van Gogh's OC is attack. You got to pick and choose whether you want more attack or more arts up. Bonsi, arts up 10%. Party MP gen up 10% while she's on the field. Even though this is not a character I see myself using, I do definitely see the value of her. But I think it's asking a lot when her best supports, obviously you can use her with Castoria, but Van Gogh and Popus Johanna both are limited 5 stars. And Van Gogh is definitely going to be the more common one. But though, her 2 best supports being the non-standard ones, I feel people are just going to avoid this character to begin with. I do think she's much better built than pretty much all these other, than a lot of these characters on B with her. But this is just an ease of use placement. I just think this character is going to be more confusing for people to know how to use. And I don't want to, a lot of the if you can look at this list, a lot of the placement is basically going by ease of use and how easy it is to use them. Because the easier it is to use a character, usually the better the character is. Yeah, like look at most Buster farmers. You click buttons. You just click buttons and kill everything until it's dead. That's why people like Buster so much. It's easy. But I also don't discriminate based on card type, so you don't see quick at the bottom. All right. So, yeah. That is welfare's. This is still broken, so I'm just going to have to come back to this and hopefully everything sticks. Yep, and of course that's not going to save the way I want because the site is apparently broken or the lists are broken. Either one, they're going to be fixed by the time of next year. Moving on. Low stars. I'm going to literally run through this. There are no new low stars that were released. This is all buffs. So, first one, Geronimo. This one, I am very happy to move him out of his placement. However, this is all it is. Quick up 50% for one turn, and skill cooldown reduction. If this is the direction they want him to go, I can see no other place than putting him in niche. He literally allows Cosmos drop to, like, you just need double Cosmos drop and Geronimo, and you're able to 3-turn farm. But that essentially, like, that is such a niche case. I cannot, like, literally place him up higher just because he makes Cosmos drop farm, like, easier. That is the definition of niche. So he just goes from D to extremely niche. Next, we have Medusa. D. So, I am not a fan of this buff, but it's less Medusa and more. No, it is Medusa. I don't like this buff because of Medusa. They fixed this monster strength from 2 turns to 3 turns, which literally just makes it feel better. Not only that, they added 30% crit damage and a power mod against any servant that has an immobility status on them, aka they're stunned, charmed, pigified, put to sleep, or literally not able to take an action. Does this move her up for me? Yes, but only to C. Only to C. The reason being is that this buff makes you want to do multi-core. She can only petrify one enemy one time in a run, and the base chance is 100%. So if the enemy has magic resist, you just might not stun. This is like like her going up is because her skill got better, but you cannot move her any higher because the rest of her kit does not work well. The Petrify, it's not AoE, even though she has an AoE MP, L, and then her battery is not 30. It is good gain, but it's also selfish. So they need to decide whether it's an AoE battery for multicore or make it bring it up to 30, in which case they want Medusa to loop farm or at least wave clear. Wave clear, I'm fine with. Them trying to make her loop farm, hell fucking no. That is an uphill battle. They're gonna have to like brute force charge for her if they want her to do any kind of looping. Next, Sugitani. If I remember correctly, this buff was like really nasty. Yeah, no, they gave her an MP buff and made it so that I believe she does not lose anything. Yes, you do not lose the buff success up. So, yeah, where did I put Sugitani? You're in B? I might have just move you to A. I think I have to move you to A. Yeah. Yeah, Sugitani goes to A. I mean, EX. She's going to EX. Reason being, look at these other two single targets, or look at the single targets here. How many of them are out damaging 5 stars in super recollections? How many of these 3 stars out damage 5 stars in super recollections? Because Sugitani did. Sugitani was clapping Morgan in the Lost Belt 6 super recollections. Yeah, no, as a single target, if you are literally doing something that 5-star DPSs have problems with, oh no. No. I'm not ranking you that low. Sugitani, like, brand new 5-star that came out in the last couple of years. She's gonna come out this year on an A with Ptolemaeus and Theseus. She earned her place. She fucking earned that place. Last one, Phantom of the Opera. This one, So, Phantom's buff. Mental debuff success rate up 25%. Mental debuff resistance up 100%. That's what the buff was. Now, 20% arts to the party. 20% MP damage if you're on darkness. Debuff success rate, period, 25%. Debuff resistance, 100%. This skill, oh my god. It, like, this buff almost makes me want to take Phantom out of niche and into, like, the up here. Before, Phantom was a debuff enabler. Now Phantom is basically debuff support. More specifically, charm support. However, something I really have to note: before, 50% debuff res down for 6 turns. Thing is, you had to fight magic resist to land this. This was how you got Goddess Essence to not be an issue for runs. But you still had to fight magic resist to get this to land. With this buff, it is significantly easier to land this. So, yes, I am finally moving Phantom out of here, out of niche, and putting him in A as general debuff support or debuff enabling, and more specifically, charm support now, because now his charm chance is pretty much happening, and as a support, arts up and MP damage. So not only is he, like, actually doing something for debuffers, but if they're arts, they get even more, and even if they're not arts, the arts cards will do more damage and regen more. This specifically benefits Summer Kama the most. Yeah, like, you can literally use Phantom of the Opera as Kama charm support, and let her get her super effective off more than once in the run. Strictly because of that, I'm moving Phantom out of niche. I was so happy when he got this buff because it's, like, awesome. He works even better than he did before. So with that, we have oh, sorry. With that, we have welfares and low stars done. Now, onto these lists. So, now we're moving on to Sabers. I'm going to get the buffs out the way before we do the new servants. Misclick. Why did I close it? Alright, first, Daeon. Daeon went from having 0 purpose to having the best party buff removal resistance like, period in the game. Like, does not come close, like, at all anywhere else. Along with having an arts buff too, is like, what do I have him? D? B at most, or A? I'm thinking B. Up 2 tiers. No, actually, niche. Niche. Move it. You out of D to niche, because you do not need buff removal resistance that often. But when you need it, this is the best you could possibly ask for. Like, you could ask for more, but why do you need more than 100% on this? Like, buff removal success rate, I don't think that's a thing. If that is a buff, like, that is way too... That is, like... So you throw rock out, they change midway through, and then you change while they're changing. That, like, it's like the kind of rock paper scissors you do not want to be playing. That, like, that kind of escalation is just annoying in gacha games, because it means you have to keep buying new supports to keep up with them nerfing other shit. FGO doesn't do that. That is more Honkai's in Genshin's territory. But yeah, this is great buff. Next, Lang Ling. Lang Ling, battery went from 20 to 30, and buff success rate is AoE for the party, and 20 stars. Same, Lang Ling, yeah, goes up to A. Goes up to A for the, because, again, bigger battery. It also means that his own kit works better. Like, he actually gets the benefit of this, so he doesn't have to target himself to give party star gen or crit damage. And these aren't small numbers. 50% crit damage is a lot. To make it go from Imperial Privilege to Guaranteed is a big difference. So I feel like moving him up another tier is worth it, but can't bring him any higher. Because, like, 20% arts isn't special anymore. Close it again. All right. Next, Trung Sisters. So, the buff for this, buff removal resistance, 1 time 3 turns, and overcharge for the party. Yeah, so buff removal resistance and OC for the party. This is honestly a pretty small buff. I would have liked them to up the MP gen rate, but is what it is. Biscione has 20% too, so they don't care about MP gen nearly as much for single targets as they do AoEs. But that kind of is for obvious reasons that AoEs aren't supposed to be critting. Single targets are. So yeah, this buff, I don't feel like changing them. Yeah, I don't feel like changing Trung Sisters. I think all these single target arts are still interchangeable. Yeah, Trung Sisters aren't moving. So now we have the actual. I keep closing this. Now we have the actual servants. Yep. So let us start with Richard, and this is probably where I start moving some placements. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm probably definitely moving Mordred. At the very least, I'm moving Mordred. All right. So, Richard, base attack 12.4k, very high, especially for a Saber. Now, this is low for Avengers, but again, low for an Avenger is high for pretty much every other class. HP 13.6k, Not the highest, but still a decent number. MP charge 0.56%, not terrible. Lawful balanced, so no CEs here. Hit counts: 5 hit on quick, 4 hit on arts, 4 hit on buster, 5 hit extra attack. This is a crit servant, one of the strongest crit servants in the game. Van Gogh, very great crit support as a DPS themselves, one of the best crit servants, and that's with their own kit. Richard is pretty much the same way. However, it's based on how Buster works, not necessarily his own kit, but his own kit definitely helps. He is, unlike pretty much every other Saber here, he has nothing for defense. He is all in on attack. First skill, 20% attack for the party, MP gen up 20%, crit star gen up 20%, and an on attack buff. Every time he attacks, he gets 30% star gen for 3 turns. So this can get ridiculously high and make it so even his arts card is gonna gen a ton of stars. He is basically a quick servant disguised as a buster servant. Second skill, 20% card buff all around, arts quick buster, 30% MP damage, and you can choose an ally's skill cooldown to reduce by 1. This is so important because it makes it so Alco is able to substitute as a Vitch. Now, this only works because targeted cooldown reduction that has nothing to do with these effects, and the fact this is already on a 6-turn cooldown. He is not able to do Black Rail looping, although that was something I looked at. And it actually has nothing to do with him. It has to do with Vitch and how her charge situation works. And they do not play nice together. Yeah, unfortunate how long Poison Sky's battery is. If that battery gets buffed and gets a cooldown reduction, we're going to see some like really fun shit happen soon. Third skill, 30% battery, star weight of buster cards up 500% for 3 turns, crit damage of buster cards up 50% for 3 turns. This is what Vitch gives. And remember, he's buster, so he's double stacking this. And he's getting 2... And Vitch is going to double stack on him or just pop twice. Again, depending on if you're doing double Vitch or Alco in place of a Vitch. And a 20 star bomb. Debuff res up 17.5%. Riding a 10% quick up. You need this for farming. You want this for farming too. Especially if you plan on using Alco, you need the cooldowns as low as possible. Extra attack, mostly because he's a crit DPS. I would avoid this because you're going to overcap on crit extremely easily. MP, 5-hit AoE Buster, 50% crit damage. You get this before damage. Inflicts burn on all enemies for 5 turns. So if you want to use Honey Lake, go ahead. It would benefit your crits as much as your MP damage rather than buffing one or the other. Although, obviously, you won't get the effect of the burn or Honey Lake the first time you MP. It will be in subsequent MPs unless you card before the MP, which you shouldn't be doing that because this is a Buster MP. If you card before the MP, your Buster crit does less damage. So avoid that like the plague. OC, all card type res down 10% up to 30. Bonds CE, party crit damage up 30% while he's on the field. This character does the same looping damage of a round Ibuki. He's not able to do Black Rail. However, his Buster crits are so fucking disgusting. I literally cannot place him lower than EX. It is so fucking stupid how high his damage is. If you are using him in, like, If you're able to get away with Black Rail, do it. Basically, anytime you're not doing normal farming. So Mordred, you get to sit next to your father. Sit in between them. This literally has a very different context if it's literally anyone other than Mordred, based on who Mordred's father is. But yeah, Richard, ridiculously strong. Mordred was literally up here for the combination of having better crit damage and being able to use Rising Mud Rain and just have good MP damage. Richard, even if his farming damage is not going to be the highest, the fact that if he doesn't kill, which again, all these characters are MP1, so damage is usually going to be the issue. If he gets a Buster crit, it pretty much doesn't matter whether he MP'd or not, other than the fact the Buster crit got more crit damage. Richard is just so disgustingly strong. At MP1, no one's crit damage comes anywhere close. Like, it is a night and day difference. He is basically single target. That's how stupid his crit damage is. His Buster crits do more than his MP by a landslide. And yeah, and like with HP pools going up and up and up, and especially for super recollections, you can't rely on the MP all the time, especially not MP1. Crits, doesn't matter if you're MP1 or MP5. That is why he goes up here. So, do I want to move one of these three any lower? No, because they're all interchangeable and you use them for different reasons. This one can use Black Rail, but face cards are... This one can use a whole different bunch of comps, but not the best at any of them. Mordred, crit, but not better than Richard. Ibuki, you need a buff. You need a buff so bad. Keep deleting this. All right, last one. Kurohime. I am so happy about this one. Why am I so happy about this? Go back to the garbage can. I'm so tempted to put him in Don't Use It All, but I can't do that. He's not that bad. But even Kurohime being released, like... No, I'm sorry. That's just... No. Hold up. Let me just check this disrespect real quick. Yeah, see, Rama has a buff that lasts for 3 turns and isn't hit based. And he has a gut and a battery. Yeah, no, I kind of think Rama is actually, like, has better... Oh my god, do I actually want to do this? Yeah, no. Kurohime, to me, makes Sigurd look so much worse. That he actually gets bumped down. So, Kurohime. My main complaint about Sigurd is that he does not have buffs that last more than 3 turns or cannot be used up in 1 turn. Kurohime does not have that problem, along with being not only a good single target DPS, but also a good multi-core DPS, and trait-based in the same exact category as Sigurd. And normally I don't say because a character is Buster that they go down in value, but for Sigurd specifically and how his kit works, he actually does go down in value because he's Buster. If he was Arts, like Kurohime, he wouldn't have nearly as many problems as he does. He is an MP spammer that also wants to do crit, but he doesn't have a good way to gen stars for himself. And then his MP, like, he doesn't have a way to get back to his MP. Sigurd is so heavily reliant on supports brute forcing him charge. I cannot put him. I don't want to like even look at him anymore. Again, this is not coming from someone that does not have Sigurd at all. He is Bond 10. I have used him in the Vitra node so many fucking times, literally Bond 7 to 10. I say this from experience, not out of genuine hatred. Kurohime, good base attack, HP lower side. Change the outfit. Yes. Starlight, Sergeant, normal saber numbers. MP charge 0.62%. A lawful good for the CE. 4 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 2 hit on buster, 5 hit extra attack. The few times I've used her, again, it makes me not want to use Sigurd ever again, and I luckily don't have to. At the start of monthly reset, when you get all the teapots, I'm definitely doing that Vitra node with this character, and she is just going to solo core farm it, because all the enemies on that node are Serpent and Dragon, which is literally this character's niche. First skill, 2 attacks, 3 turn dodge. Stars per turn, 15 stars. MP damage up 30%, and if you have a Serpent or Dragon ally, they also get 30%. Second skill, 30% quicken arts up, 30% crit damage, and if you have a Serpent or Dragon ally, they also get 30%. Third skill, taunt of all Serpent or Dragon enemies to herself for 3 turns. People have issues with this because if you're not fighting Serpent or Dragon, this does nothing, but she also has a niche against Serpent or Dragon, so if you're not fighting them, you can just bring someone else to fight the enemy. So if she did not have this niche, this would be a lot worse. Because again, like, she's just like, this is just not there if you're not fighting Serpent or Dragon. But nothing else about it really changes. Like, if you're choosing to bring someone non-niche, you're choosing to bring someone non-niche. Debuff immunity, 1 time 3 turns. Heal 1000 HP per turn. 30 battery, and then another 10 battery based on if you have Serpent or Dragon units on the field. This includes your side and the opponent. So this is a single target. You are probably not going to get too much of the battery if you are using her as a just DPS. In multicore, it's a completely different story because it's completely node dependent. You may or may not see Serpent or Dragons in different waves. They might not all be Serpents. They might not or Dragons. But yeah, if you're using her with servants like Summer Ibuki, you can get a bigger battery. Oberon counts for this too. So if you're doing like multi-core with Summer Ibuki, and you're using Castoria and Oberon, when you swap out the Castoria, make sure when you swap out Castoria, for Oberon, you'll get another 20 battery. And then it doesn't matter what's on the other side of the field. That's a 50 battery. You should be good. You're running arts units. Refund when you have Castoria and Oberon usually isn't an issue. Passive, 17.5% debuff res. Riding C, 6% quick. Battery here for just ease of use in multi-core. This only if you're using Tomomo and mostly for single target DPS. Anti-rider, there are a lot of dragons that are riders, but you're probably just going to go class advantage, not super effective. If you're fighting a rider, so extra attack, again, if you're using her as a single target DPS and you're using face cards a lot, this is not the worst thing you can get. NP, ignores evasion, ignores defense, both activate before damage. 5 hits, single target arts. Arch res down 20% for 3 turns after damage, and then super effective damage against dragon or serpent enemies. Base 150 up to 200%. Serpent means snake. Or dragon with a tail. Basically, yeah, it's basically it's the thing has a tail. Or like the character has a tail, or they were known to have a tail at some point. Cleopatra, it's more because of her stand. And Chiome, it's because she has the blood of Yamato no Orochi inside of her. And Kirei, it's what makes up his spirit origin. Serpent is a much worse trait, however, than Dragon, because Dragon envelops anyone that has Dragon in their lore. And it's just a lot more servants. Yeah, Lancers, she's going to be having a good time against Lancers. There are a bunch of Lancers that are Dragon traded. And again, she is a Saber, so she is in the same exact niche as Sigurd. There is no exception to that. It's not like she's an archer and Sigurd is a Saber, and you just don't bring them to fight the same enemies. No. 2 Sabers, different card types. One's a 4-star and permanent, the other is limited, and the permanent 4-star is just straight up better. If you have MP3 of Kurohime, it is the exact same damage as Sigurd, so the only difference is Sigurd crits harder, but he only crits harder 3 times, and then he's carried by his supports. Kurohime. Solid A. I don't think she is better outside of niche than Saito or Yagyu, but the fact that her niche overlaps with a 5-star and she does the job so much better, she's going in A, and I do think she functions better than Lancelot too. So, we are done with Sabers here. Sorry, chat. My throat is like really dry right now. Yeah, so you guys are gonna see the rest of the video, but I need to pause for right now. I will get the rest of this done in tomorrow morning, my time. And hopefully there's not another buff, because if there's another buff for Servant, they will be added to this list. Yeah, so the last 6 characters we have: Zenobia, King Tut, Britomart, Biscione, Kama, and Gorgon. Alright. You guys will see it soon. This part of the recording is over. All right, so I did not wake up the morning, so this is not coming out at the time I wanted, but I still should at least have it out in January. No, I'll release this. This should be coming out February 1st now. So we have 2 actual servants to like run through for this, and then we have 4 servants that we're gonna go through like really, really quickly, and then we're done. We're gonna start with Zenobia. This buff, not great. Now, it does synergize extremely well with her Bond CE. What it was originally a Guts, 1 time 3 turns, Star Weight, and Star Bomb. They didn't do anything to the other effects. They added this normal effect. So whenever Guts activates, the party gets a 20 battery. Now, when you stack that with her Bond CE, whenever a Guts goes off, Zenobia gets a battery. This buff gets like a lot better. But again, it requires your bond CE for you to really feel the effects of Zenobia getting a 50 battery from her guts proccing. Now, the bond CE is any guts when it happens. It is not a restriction. However, for the skill, it only happens once because Zenobia only gets one guts. So if you want to really take advantage of this, you're gonna need Tomomo to reduce cooldown. Otherwise, this skill literally does not change your placement. I am not bumping her down for a bad buff. That is fucking stupid. If even a bad buff, if the character does not factually get worse, it's still a buff. You have cases like, I want to say Asclepius, where a buff is a demerit, but only in some cases. Yeah. So not spending time on Zenobia. We're moving on. Last archer we need to talk about, and then we go to Lancers. King Tut. Actually, we're gonna do Lancers last since that's another actual servant. This character, immediately. Oh, that is the wrong thing. He immediately goes here, and you cannot convince me he goes outside of this. Even as a single target DPS, he would be, like Melisson, a single target DPS with 2 skills. But I'm not ranking him as a farmer or whatever. Although technically he kind of goes in farming, but he is much more utility based than you can say about like many other cases. It's like Arash. It's either he's going to be EX or you have to put him in niche because you can't use him like a normal servant. So base attack, good, a little on the lower side, but not terrible. HP 14k, low 14k, not great, but still good HP. MP charge 0.38. It's a damn good thing he is not supposed to be staying around too long because, like, yeah, this game, not enough. If his skit was not the way it was, he would not even be going in extremely niche. But we're not dealing with the Lightworks from almost 10 years ago. We're talking about lasagna. Or Lasango. I like saying lasagna much better. But yeah, this game from face cards, concerning. Like, almost Takeru levels concerning, but honestly not even that bad. Lawful good, so you can use that CE for bond points. Defender, this I forget what this honestly had to do with. It's some bullshit. It's some bullshit mission, and I'm just forgetting which one it is. 4 hits on quick, 4 hits on arts, 3 hit on buster, 5 hit extra attack. Again, if he was actually concerned about card refund, this would be more concerning, but he's definitely not. He definitely does not care about card refund. First skill, 20% battery for the party, 20% MP damage for the party. When Guts activates, he gets 30 stars. If he dies, he gets 30 stars. Very funny how both these things are 2 separate conditions, and it acts like that's supposed to happen, both your Guts and you die in this, like, in the span of 3 turns. If he wasn't designed the way he was, this would have easily been 5 turns, because that's, again, Guts duration. Normal Guts durations for characters that actually want to stay around. So this is the hint. He is not supposed to be staying around. Second skill, 30% arts for himself. On attack buff, every time he attacks, he puts a curse on enemies. And another 30 battery. So far his battery charge is at 50, and we're still not done yet. Third skill, Guts, 1 time 3 turns of 5k HP. This is double a lot of Guts in the game. Like, more than double most Guts in the game. The reason being is that they don't want you to accidentally kill yourself if you just so happen to use Black Rail on him, which definitely not the worst thing, but you're probably going to want more than one Black Rail if you're using him like that. Just saying. Debuff immunity for 3 turns. This is full debuff immunity, not chance restricted. Full 3 turns. Awesome. His kit would really suck if he could accidentally get stunned. His whole gimmick would really suck if you could not choose when he dies. And last thing, another 30 battery. So far in his skills, he has an 80% battery, meaning all you need is append 2 maxed out, and you have 100% charge without even needing a support. Also meaning if you start him from 50 and you give him Castoria buffs, yeah, like that first MP, he's probably going to loop, if not 20%, it's probably going to be like 15. But I would even say it's going to loop around 15, and then he gets hit, or if he gets hit, or if he does any carding after, you shouldn't have too much of a problem back-to-back MPing with him. And even if you do, just bring another support. He's going to be swapping out, so your party composition is going to look different, and where you place supports, it does matter. But more likely than not, you're hoping he's able to clear first 2 waves, and then you have another support for your other DPS. Again, all depends on your party comp. Passives, 19.5% debuff res, 10% arts crit, tickle from divinity, and curse debuff success rate 30%. Okay. Again, Pen, you need this, otherwise he does not have his base 100% battery. Pretty much ignore this. It's like Arash. Arash does not do Brave Chains because he dies after his MP. You will not get to the extra attack. This is actually dead on King Tut. Period. To be able to take advantage of the extra attack means either you're only going to do it once in the fight, or you're not going to use him. You're not going to use his MP. And if you're not using his MP, why are you even using this character? King Tut is very different from other single target arts. It really is. It's either you use him in his intended case, you use him in his niche, or you don't use him at all. If you use him outside of his niche, aka farming, and try to use him in a boss fight, you will think he's a very poor servant. Again, he's not supposed to stay on the field long enough for this to matter. So if you choose this, you are accepting you're gonna go the extra mile and do some even wonkier shit with King Tut, with even more cooldown reduction. Possibly try to have him actually MP 3 times in a row. I'm not saying it's not possible, but you are definitely going an uphill battle because you also have to give him another gut somehow. But only then do I kind of see it. He does have low cooldowns, so these are all technically 5. Yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibilities he can MP 3 times, but again, now you're completely changing your team, and you're changing from supports that give him more damage to supports that will literally let him MP an extra time and has nothing. And first time, it doesn't even have to do with refund. The third time, though, you do have to worry about refund, and you also have to worry about how did you get that extra guts. Sclape, whoever. Sclapius is probably going to be the easiest one because he also gives arts card refund, and also MP refund, but it's a Sclapius. And I think you'd also have to run another C with him too, like so a Sclape can get to his MP quickly. All right, MP, 5-hit single target, super effective against demonic enemies. Now this is not a common niche for servants, but enemies. Oh, oh, big chunky enemies that show on here. Done. They are not gonna live. But yeah, like servants not having a lot of demonic, again, really more a benefit for him. The only sabers here that are demonic are Tomoe Summer and Ibuki Doji. You get more demonic from berserkers than you do sabers. So is again, why are you trying to force him to be used outside of niche? Inflict Curse, 1k base damage, lasts for 5 turns, then put Evil Curse on them, plus 100%. This also lasts for 5 turns, so use, if you're trying to do some DOT stuff, you can do it. And if you plan on bringing someone else for DOT, sure, he's not a terrible opener for it. Two 1,000 curses that last for 5 turns, along with 2 evil curses that last for 5 turns. You have a damn good start to your ramp up now, don't you? Because that is 12,000 damage from curses, right? 2,000. No. The second turn it's 600. First turn it would only be 2,000. But he also has other curses, so you do like if you're trying to do some dot stuff, he's not the worst to like just ramp up into it. He will give you at least a decent start, and if you have 3 turn curses, that like again, by the time those characters come out, King Tut will be dead, and their curses will be in line with each other. So again, not the worst. 100% chance to insta-kill, and then 500 chance to sacrifice himself. You cannot prevent this except by guts. Like any kind of like Alco stuff that gets rid of demerits, that does not... Sacrifice does not count as a demerit. Insta-kill chance, not terrible. I'm actually in a little bit of a pickle on my alt account. I don't really have someone that can do single target insta-kill besides Summer Reese and Shiki. Sorry. But Shiki gets me demonetized on... No, not demonetized. Gets me copyright struck on YouTube. So I've kind of been trying to push away from using Shiki as quickly as possible. But it looks like I still have to use Shiki and keep worrying about the copyright. Like literally every FGO stream I'm doing Storm Pods. Oh, right. Start of the month. So that means they're in Storm Pods. Right. OC, 20% MP damage. Scales, but it only lasts 1 turn, so don't think he has ramp up because he does not. And why would he if he's not supposed to be alive long enough to ramp up? Bond CE. There's some stuff going on. Gives himself a guts, 10%, and it's stackable with other guts. Okay, so here we go. If you want King Tut to be able to MP 3 times in a row, you need to make him Grand Servant. Otherwise, you're going to have a huge damage problem. He needs to run the CE with Black Girl. There are almost no exceptions. In addition, he gets a party-wide battery when his guts procs. Any guts proc. Oh. No, so unlike Zenobia, these 2 parts only last for 3 turns. So this Bonsi is literally so he could do 1-1-1 farming and actually be able to do it himself. But yeah, after every MP, everyone will get a 10 battery. The best use case I can see about the death part, though, is if you're trying to get someone to, after King Tut goes, they go later, and then like this 10% might have been the difference of them getting another stage of overcharge, in addition to the one they get from going after King Tut, and just only having one extra stage. Once again, I cannot put King Tut anywhere but extremely niche. Most people are not going to have the setup to even be able to get him to MP 2 times back to back without starting from 50. Trying to actually get him to MP 3 times in a row with Black Rail is going to be a test for a lot of people, and probably isn't going to work in farming, but a boss fight much more likely, but also equally as hard, because you also have to hope he doesn't just die randomly and then you have another problem on your hands. All right, so that is there for archers. I would save this, but this site is not gonna let me, so I'm gonna have to redo these next time. We're gonna skip Lancer and go to Assassin first. Yeah. So, Kama. This is gonna be really quick. They buffed her MP for some ungodly reason, and now she has super effective against charm, and she charms before damage. Her damage literally doubled over the course of one night. Flat out doubled. The MP damage went up, and now she has super effective and pretty much always guarantees the super effective. Like if Charma doesn't charm, her damage goes down, but like compared to before, her damage still went up. So and I also have to re-explain this placement because it has been a while. So the reason Kama was up here was not because she was super good as a DPS, but because she could charm lock people, and the charm lock was so oppressively strong, other single targets did not have a chance. So now the question is, she is not changing, but is anyone else changing? And okay, so here's the biggest issue with me. Because honestly, I think this A+ is reason enough to not just fuck over this whole list. Because if I'm being honest, like, her buff was so good, every other single target quick really should have been moved down one. But that only would have been if I didn't have this A+ here. If it sounds like a cop-out, it pretty much is. But I don't see Jack or X being on the same level as Yang Qing. You're here for support, so you wouldn't even be affected, even though you are a single target. You were not the target demographic. Yeah. So this list is not changing, but just know these two are definitely going to be on the chopping block next time. If nothing happens to them, especially Jack. Jack has not gotten a buff in so long, and the buff they did give her was a jank ass MP buff that doesn't even count as a real MP buff in year 10. So right now, I do think they still stand on their legs by themselves. And it's not like Kama wasn't up there because she is such a strong single target quick DPS. She's on here because the enemy literally can't do shit against her. So she just gets free damage. And the best offense or the best defense is where you just don't take damage at all. You don't have to worry about defense if you take 0 damage. So you can just go all in offense. Yeah. Next, we have Gorgon. Gorgon has been getting a lot of buffs. She would almost have a fake 50% battery if they didn't screw her on this mana loading, not mana loading, Avenger passive. If this was literally 0.5 higher, due to rounding, there might have been a chance she would have counted as having a fake 50% battery. But again, she doesn't. But now she can do farming a lot better. Cooldown went down by 1, so 7 to 6. The guts didn't change. Crit damage didn't change either. But now she has power mod against anyone that has stun, charm, pigify, sleep, and she also gets a 30 battery. The 30 battery is important if you care about Gorgon farming, because it just means she can do double Vich Oberon. Something very strong to note, you cannot pop, if you want the full strength of Vich, you have to wait turn 1 to pop her first skill. Otherwise, it literally just can't last long enough to actually be double stack on turn 3. So turn 1 damage for farming is always going to be shit. It's going to be really, really bad. You're probably going to have to rely on carding, but also a pro, because this is hit-based restriction. If you have to do any carding, it would be better it was in the first turn and the third turn, not the second. The second will screw you over so goddamn hard if you try to do carding. Gorgon still needs more buffs. She needs to be able to, like, this is the Gorgon from mythology, one of the most famous monsters of all history, like goes across country origin. So her canonically having one of the best stuns in the game, like stun every single turn, like almost terror like stun, but on her end. I feel she should get that buff, but with her being able to actually do farming, I do feel she can go up to B. I'm thinking again about Moriarty's placement. And I'm at least willing to put him on par with Space Ishar now. Yeah, I'm definitely willing to bump up Moriarty to Space Ishar. I came around to it, and also saying he's on the same level as Gorgon. Because again, MP1 compared to MP1, doesn't matter that it's a 5-star and a 4-star on this list. They're still being compared. Her damage is close to Mount Nobu, but you have to be really smart about how you use her again. And doesn't have niche for it too. Not a easily used niche like Nobu. But Moriarty going up is mostly because, again, he has MP damage ramp up. He is still like an AoE arts extra class. Like, it's not like he's the worst. And if you're allowed to use double cast Soria Oberon, again, his damage is not going to be like down here. It would be pretty similar to at least Space Ishtar. So that's something I just wanted to fix. No one really talked to me about like trying to bump up Moriarty, but like I see him next to Gorgon, I'm like, no. But again, extra class looks super top heavy, but they also they didn't just release shit extra class at the start of the game. They always try to make someone want to get the extra class if they were gacha. All right. Last up, we have our Lancers. So I'll knock out Brit real quick. Her MP got buffed. And not only that, the res down that she gets happens before fucking damage. So this also buffed her refund. In fact, my MP2 Britomart would not basically be able to solo core the 90++ using Asclepius, not Oberon, as the final buffer. Double Ruler Scotty and Asclepius, and with the event CE, Britomart is able to just clear that node fairly easily. Yeah, by herself. That is a multi-core node. I will be doing multi-core on it on my alt account, but Britomart, her refund got a lot better because of this. Her damage gets a lot better. Her face guards just get better. Yeah, once again, they keep trying to sandbag Britomart. So, and I can't, like, in good consciousness, if I thought these two were being compared to each other, and I already thought Britomart was better before the buff, with the buff, I can't leave her looking that, they can't be that close. They just can't. So unfortunately, Bradamante has to go down for this. Yeah. Them's just the breaks. Britamart's refund got a lot better, and she already had better refund than Bradamante. Yeah, like, they have been going crazy with the MP buffs. If you got a MP buff before year 9, damn, I'm sorry, you got. They're stepping up their game. I hope you got a good MP buff at least. Unfortunate Jack. Unfortunate Medea. Unfortunate Emiya. Unfortunate Vlad. So many more I could keep listing. Yeah. So, last character to talk about, Biscione. And this has been the one I've been dreading the most, because her direct competition is Shisho. And I figured I might as well just list this or put this in here now, because this officially is the end of the first part of the tier list for this year. It really is fully updates after this video. Next list, I plan on having all these tiers, EX, A+, all the way to don't use. But instead of Melisande having her own tier, I am just going to have an Apex tier. And Apex is going to be one DP, one single target, one AoE, and one support. And that's it. It doesn't matter card type like I do with EX. It is going to be these characters. If you see them on banner and you don't have them, your account is going to change because of it. I have tried to keep my list away from that, and it's more purely gameplay. But I figure this Apex thing is just it's a seasonal ranking. And as the meta changes, what is Apex is going to change too. Case in point, look at Honkai Star Rail on Pridewind, and you will see how that has changed over time. What is Apex one year might not be Apex next year. That is mostly DPS. That is not sustains for FGO. For FGO, sustains have not changed pretty much since they came out. Or not sustain support. But enough of that. Let's talk about Biscione. Base attack on the lower side for 5 stars, but not too low. This is like mid-low, not low-low, if you catch my meaning. HP, super high. Honestly, kind of makes sense why her attack went down, although for how lethal she can be, I'm sure more people would have preferred higher base attack, like around the 12Ks. A lot of people would have probably preferred that, but if you just look at her scaling now, you can see they are very, very afraid of that. Star weight, star gen, and Lancer numbers. MP charge super healthy at 0.7%. And again, point this out. This is one of the best arts cards in the game. Pound for pound, it's very likely close to Koyanskaya. Might even pass it up only because Koyanskaya only has an arts buff and Biscione has a MP game buff. So yeah, if you're doing Mighty Chains and you see an arts crit, you probably don't have to worry too much about refund that turn. 4 hits on quick, 2 hits on buster, 4 hits on the arts, 5 hit extra attack. Animal characteristics for CEs. Unless you force her to be evil, she is chaotic balance, so not full Doman synergy. Moving on. She is a poison niche. She is basically the 5-star version of buffed Bavanchi. Except for her, she was designed completely around that niche. Debuff success rate up 30%. Any debuffing character should always want to have this as one of their important skills. Look at Khazra drop. Look how bad Khazra drop would be if she did not have the debuff success rate. Khazra drop is literally all debuffs, so that would also mean her quick res down, her crit res down, and all of her defense down. None of it would be sticking to the enemy, especially if you are fighting one of the Sakura 5 that already has super high magic resist. They pretty much gave Khazra drop like all that damage against the Sakura 5 because they're the most likely for them to resist her whole kit. So it might as well be, you're fucking with my shit, I am going to ruin your life. Wait, did I actually just describe Khazra drop's role in Foxtail? I don't know. Someone come back to me on that. I haven't finished reading that. I barely even started, to be honest. All right, crit damage, 50%. Inflicts poison on all enemies. Inflicts toxic poison on all enemies to double the poison damage. Both of these last for 5 turns, and you reduce the healing rate of your opponent. So if their healing rate is super high, you doing dots kind of doesn't matter. If your healing rate is lower, it's almost like all the dots do double damage because you can't heal from them as easily as you were before. Talking about the boss. Second skill, quick res and bust res up 30%. When you attack with quick cards, including the MP, before damage, you put another poison stack. If you're attacking with buster cards, you get 5 stars. This is not before damage, but adding crit stars before damage literally doesn't do anything. So again, yes, this isn't before damage, but it doesn't matter. Third skill, invul to attacks 3 turns, 30% battery, and unfortunately 20% MP gain up for 3 turns. Now, Trunk Sisters have it at this value too, so it's not like it's the end of the world, but I'm pretty sure Trunk Sisters is also AoE, so not sure why they chose to do this, besides they thought her refund was good enough as is that she didn't need MP gain that high. I question that, but is what it is. Passives, 20% debuff res, 8% star gen, 6% crit damage, and Dragon Kind, 8% buster up, and 160 damage cut. How damage cut works is the weaker the enemy is, the closer your loss for any hit you take becomes 0. The stronger the enemies are, the stronger you need the damage cut for it to matter. But for the inverse, if you have super high damage cut and the enemies can't hit you for anything, you take 0 damage. Unfortunately, it doesn't heal you for negative damage, which would be absolutely fucking hilarious. Hey, that might be a character that comes out in the future. Gives damage cut to the party, and any excess damage cut that is prevented becomes healing you receive. That would honestly be one of the funniest things they can do as a buff or for a character. Hopefully that's a buff, because that would just be funny. That, like, for Bizette, that would be like one of the funniest things you can do for her. Appends for farming. You want this for more. Yeah, to make the 20. To make the 30 battery fake 50, and then she's not a looper, so you're not too worried about like black rail looping. But a stronger start is still a stronger start. If you cannot waste charge, don't waste charge. Anti-lancers is what it is. There are a lot of dragons that are lancers, pretty much, I'm assuming. This is for more sustained fights. Say, again, I always bring this up. Reacher node on Bleached Earth. That is a fight that very, very few people are actually using that fight to bond farm. If they're doing that fight, they're trying to like blitz through it and just burn Stormpod or something. That node gives you 3,700 bond points per run. I would like to double that with my teapots and also use all the C's to make that 12k instead of only letting normal buster farming servants get extra, like get the Stormpod bonus. Like, no, thank you. I'll just make a different team. All right, MP. Again, this does not matter. First one, 5-hit, single target MP, inflicts toxic poison, so you're ramping up the poison damage they take. Even more because you also have it on the skill. Super effective based on the poison stacks, caps up to 10, and guaranteed drain. I made this big mistake, and it completely threw off the original recording I had for Biscione. And that is how this sheet lists servants. Please notice that it does not even start at poison times 3. This number right here is already poison times 3. This sheet does not show her base MP damage. So if you are looking to see here and think, oh, multiply by the super effective because this is what her base damage is, her base MP damage is almost better than Shisho with her quick buff and her buffed MP. No, it is fucking not. You have to be able to look at this list and know what it means. Shisho's damage here is 1 turn. Sometimes I gas it up. Her quick buff only lasting 1 turn is not that important in the grand scheme of things because she's going to get another 100% from her supports. Biscione, the only offensive buff in her own kit that is calculated for this is the 30% quick up that she has. And again, obviously the super effective. So that means like Biscione's scaling goes far, far higher on this list than what it says for Shisho. Shisho, these are power mods. It would add into Black Rail. This number would multiply into Black Rail. That is the huge difference. And then you take into account all the other buffs. Oh, chat. I don't want to do it. Let me finish this first. Oh, poison, guaranteed 1,000. Bond CE, 30% MP damage, and an on-attack buff whenever Biscione crits, she puts poison on. On her video, I put an icon in the thumbnail that said Grand Candidate. This craft essence doesn't change her gameplay and literally only can make it better. So it is with the absolute heaviest heart that I have to bump Shisho down and put Biscione up here. But I am doing this with the biggest of caveats. If Shisho is fighting Divine, she is definitely taking Biscione's place for single target quick. Biscione is up here because she strictly makes her own niche and her scaling is just better. However, Shisho, if you have her set up, is like literally annihilating anything you throw at her. Shisho is literally one of my favorite characters in Fate, period. Tamamo is my waifu, but I truly do kind of like Shisho more than Tamamo. Because, listen, I simp for Tamamo, but I am not like blind to what her personality actually is. Ugh, it hurts. But, like, you have to acknowledge, like, basically play Fate Extella, and you're like, if you have rose tinted glasses of Tamamo, yeah, your those tinted glasses are probably gonna get cleaned. Okay. Yeah. So, since this is the only list that actually had a character that would be in Apex next year, um, let me kind of go over how that actually would work. So, next at the start of the list, say everything, nothing's changed. Every character is exactly where they would be. Biscione actually would take the place on Apex, and Shisho would go up. Reason being, because Melisson, it like as a single target arts lancer, only has 2 skills. Are you telling me Melisson is so oppressive that with 2 skills she beats out every other character? No. But for AoE black rail farming, oh fuck no. No other character here can touch her. And then she could also bring that black rail to CQ2. Biscione, again, she makes her own niche. If you have her, it doesn't matter who you're fighting, you're going to be able to get really good damage, especially if you have good supports, and everything is going to multiply with Biscione. But Shisho would go to EX because, again, there are a lot of divine servants, and you could make them undead too. But you could also make any enemy undead and at least get, yeah, you could turn any enemy undead and you at least get this number, which is still not nothing. This is still not nothing in compared to a lot of characters, but it's not like it is the end all be all. Like, Shisho needs both niches to like really be the dominant, like as dominant as she is. It's just that getting both isn't that hard. They just need to be divine. So that is this recording. I'm good talking about all these characters for a good 5-6 months. Let me have this. Wait, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. 7. I get a 7-month break from tier lists. Oh, and it's just wrap up. It is only buffs and new characters I have to do this for. So this is the longest of the wrap ups. Don't expect the next to be this long. I try to keep the servants on these wrap ups a lot quicker, mostly because I just gave them at least a 20-minute video for themselves. I don't think they need me talking another 20 minutes about them. All right, peace. I'm ready to read OC Prologue. Peace. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like or sub. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace.